It's time for the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters, an inside look at your teams in your city.
Hi, and welcome to Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. I'm Stan Savran of 970 ESPN. I'm joined by Mike Prisuta of the DVE Morning Show and the Steelers Radio Network. Mike, this is something I don't think we've ever done. Start with college basketball. A huge game, Pitt against Duke. From all appearances, and Pitt is a favorite, which you wouldn't expect, although they are at home, don't lose very often at home. They appear to be the better team. That having been said, do you think that Pitt needs to win to sort of validate its existence in the ACC by knocking off the ultimate blue blood of the conference?
I don't think to validate, no, but it's definitely one I think Pitt will want badly, given that it's Duke and Mike Krzyzewski and Jabari Parker. And, you're not just playing this year's Duke team, which is pretty good. It's a top 20 team, but just barely. And they've had some struggles, have the Blue Devils. But you're taking on that Duke aura. There's nothing like it. I was doing some reading on Coach K this morning, and he is, in 33 years at Duke, he's won, if I'm remembering this correctly, 16 regular season ACC championships, 13 ACC tournaments, and 4 national titles. That's 33 championships in 33 years.
Yeah, pretty amazing. He just won his 900th game just over the weekend.
At Duke, his 900th.
At Duke, yeah, right, not counting his stint at Army. You know, it's the thing that interests me about Pitt in the ACC, I think everybody would agree that it's not the best year for ACC overall, but it's interesting to me that the top 2 teams appear to be Big East teams, and Pitt's one conference loss came to Syracuse, a Big East team.
Yeah, I wonder how the ACC feels about that.
Yeah.
Probably not real good. I seem to remember when Penn State joined Big Ten football, a lot of rallying of the troops among the existing members that, hey, get it together and show them it's not going to be easy and show them how good we are. It's not working out so well for the ACC.
This is a topic we discussed briefly at the Great Sports Debate a couple of weeks back.
We didn't discuss anything briefly at the Great Sports Debate.
That's very true. Well, the stuff that we can tell you about now, although online I suppose we get more latitude than in other places, you seem to be in agreement with me. All the regular season success is great. And Pitt fans should be justifiably proud of the program, and especially this year. And it is a little different because it is the first year, much ballyhooed in the ACC. And not to discount whatever they've done, but NCAA, in at least one of their sports, has a championship. To me, that's what determines success. And unless and until Pitt advances, they don't have to win the national championship, but if they want to be considered as a, quote, elite program, you got to be a legitimate contender for it, whether you win it or not.
Yeah, and you got to make the Final Four someday before you can win a national championship. And all these years and all these great regular seasons and all the players that have come and gone, and they have, one Elite Eight in that span, and that's as far as they've gotten. So, yeah, they have to break through at some point. I'm kind of intrigued by the presence of Jabari Parker tonight for Duke, who a lot of people seem to think might be the first overall pick in the draft after this season. And the knock against Pitt throughout this era of success has been it doesn't necessarily have the NBA talent on the team that the opponents have, and that's who eventually beats Pitt. So let's see how they do with Jabari Parker. Now, he's only a freshman. He's had some ups and downs. He got benched by Coach K late in a game against Notre Dame. Duke ended up losing that game. I think Mike Krzyzewski would rather have taught his freshmen a lesson as opposed to beating Notre Dame right at that moment. But let's see how Pitt does against a quote-unquote NBA talent elite guy. And if they can avoid letting him beat them, maybe they can avoid letting somebody do that in March.
Well, we'll see if Pitt is able to take control of the game so that the NBA talent, in quotes, can't affect them at the end if they have a substantial lead.
I hear there's going to be a whole lot of NBA scouts there tonight. So,
undoubtedly.
A bunch of guys will have a chance to show a bunch of people what they're all about tonight.
Especially for Parker against a very good Pitt defense, as always, or generally they are. Let me switch to the Steelers. Kirby Wilson certainly wouldn't have been a shock if he would have left to become the offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. It's a step up to be a coordinator. Unfortunate circumstances prevented him from getting the job here. But to go to Minnesota to be the running backs coach, even if it is with Adrian I don't know what you tell Adrian Peterson. I mean, I don't know how you coach him up. Just stay healthy.
Yeah, don't get hurt, kid.
Don't get hurt, because all our jobs depend on you. Were you a little bit surprised that he would take a lateral move? And it's not as though it's an established staff. It's a new staff, and Norv Turner's the offensive coordinator. Do you think that Kirby felt like, well, Norv Turner is a bit on in years, he won't want to stay that long? But why would he? What does it tell us about his position with the Steelers?
I think that's up to everybody's supposition. I haven't been able to get a hold of Kirby or anybody to fill me in on the particulars of it. I don't think you can consider the Vikings program ahead of where the Steelers are. In fact, I think you got to consider the Vikings behind the Steelers, particularly when you look at who's playing quarterback in Pittsburgh and who's playing quarterback there. So it might be a lateral move down in reality, but clearly Kirby had his reasons, and the Steelers had their reasons for deciding that they were fine with him doing what he did. So stay tuned on that one. Maybe some details will filter out here eventually.
Well, the first supposition would be that he just either A, never got over the fact that he wasn't able to take the offensive coordinator's job because of his accident, but B, does that indicate any friction with Todd Haley?
It may well. It may well. And as for point A, I haven't been told specifically that he would have been the guy. I think he would have been under consideration for that offensive coordinator job, but I don't know that was a slam dunk. But, the Haley question's a legitimate one, given that Todd Haley's still here and Kirby Wilson is not. And that's been a recent trend a little bit.
I'll throw one more potential answer for that, is that Wilson felt he was in line for the job before his accident, and Todd Haley, obviously, his first year was very rocky. First year and a half here was very rocky. But because they improved so much in the second half of the season, that at least temporarily solidified Haley's job, and he knows that Haley's going to be around at least for one more season, if not longer, and figured, I'm going to have to wait too long. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think anything's potentially the answer at this point. Might be a lot of factors. Maybe just wanted to leave. I don't know what the details are, but I know this much. He's a good coach, and he was instrumental in maybe instrumental's too strong a word, but he was on board with Le'Veon Bell very early last year. Now, clearly it's an organizational pick, and he doesn't get to make that decision, but he's one of the reasons that they so enthusiastically drafted Le'Veon Bell, who I think is going to be a really good player here. And Kirby Wilson was also one of the guys, when they decided that Jack McNell Jr. wasn't a very good offensive line coach, they kind of split up his responsibilities the second half of the season between three staff members, and Kirby was one of the guys picking up the O-line slack too. So he earned his money here, Stan.
All right, let me go to the Penguins, and I really hesitate, and I'm reluctant to frame the question, what's wrong with the Penguins? They are 2-2 in their last 4 games, 4-2-1 in their last 7, which isn't horrible. They're running away with the division, and they have a lead in the conference. But we've seen a couple games, and I give Dallas credit. They played a heck of a good hockey game Saturday night. Are we seeing some deficiencies, or are we seeing sort of that late January lull, just a couple weeks before the Olympic break, that even the Blackhawks have fallen into a bit of a trough? Is that all we're looking at here?
That's my supposition. When you start hearing the Penguins talk about we got outworked, we didn't put the effort in, we got beat physically in one-on-one battles, we got beat to the puck. Hey, we've all seen them try to play globetrotter hockey. Plenty of, going back to when Mario Lemieux first got here. And that's not necessarily an effort thing. That's a style thing. That's sort of in their DNA a little bit. That's going to crop up from time to time. But when they're getting out-efforted and outworked, it implies to me that they are distracted. And, hey, Penguins have 7 Olympians. You mentioned Chicago struggling. Chicago has 10. I think a lot of guys from a lot of countries are starting to look to the games in Sochi and starting to get pretty revved up about it. And maybe that's having a ripple effect here in North America.
And by the way, not only 7 Penguin players.
I would be one of them, by the way.
Okay. What? To be distracted?
I am fixated on the Olympics, and I can't wait till these X number of games are played till we get there.
Frankly, that's my problem. I mean, I'll watch it and enjoy it and love it. But that's one of my problems with it. The Penguins not only have 7 players, their head coach, an assistant coach, the general manager, and they spend time on that. Whether that's the factor or not, I don't know. The last time they had a horrible performance against Florida, they snapped back and won a hockey game. But frankly, their performance against the Islanders was nothing to write home about. And Dallas, I thought, earned the win. I don't think it was an effort thing with the Penguins, but they just didn't play well. We'll see how they respond tonight against a really bad Buffalo Sabres Hockey Club on home ice. Mike, thanks very much.
Hopefully, U.S. Olympian Ryan Miller will be a little distracted tonight, Stan.
He always has been against the Penguins. They've roughed him up over the course of history. That's it for Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. Thanks for joining us on PittsburghSportsHub.com.